This is Nationwide on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. I am Lami Ali. You can follow us online on nta.ng/live and other social media handles of the NTA displayed on the screen for updates. Now, residents of Trademore Estate in Lugbe, Abuja are counting their losses after a flash flood submerged houses and trapped people for several hours. Although no life was lost, the flood overwhelmed the residents, forcing them to seek support of emergencies agencies who quickly came to offer assistance. The flash flood was as a result of a heavy downpour experienced this morning, and within a few minutes, the residents realized they are at risk of another flood. Trademore Estate has been a flood-prone area. Houses were submerged and property destroyed. We're now going to join our correspondent, Abdullahi Ajia, who is at the estate, to give us updates on the current situation. Abdullahi, how are you?
Well, Lami, I'm fine. I'm fine here at the trade.
All right.
I'm fine.
All right. How serious was the flood this morning compared to the last time it was experienced at that estate?
Well, thank you, Lami. What we have gathered so far from experts and the residents themselves, it's the one flood that they can't describe in recent time, because when you compare it to recent flood in recent years, they say today's flood was overwhelming to them as they woke up this Friday to the seriousness of the rainfall, which resulted to the floods that submerged many houses and also trapped so many commuters who were on their way in or out of the estate here at the Trademore. But as we speak, the water has so much receded, and it's like a sigh of relief at the moment, because motorists and residents can go in and out of the residence now, and they're still going, assessing the level of damage the flood and the rain has caused so far today. Well, we're standing here close to one of the bridges at the estate, and you could see that the flowing water is still there, but not as much as how it were in the morning, that no one could come close to even where we are standing here at the moment. But let's get to hear more from the chairman, who has been with us all through the rescue and also providing us information as to how they feel, talking about the unfortunate incident that engulfed the residents here today. Sir, can you share in a different perspective with us the situation that has happened here today?
Okay, thank you so much. One thing that is obvious to all of us is that the volume of the flooding is not commensurate with the amount of rain that we had this morning. Therefore, the flood is coming from somewhere else, upstream. And yes, demolition might be necessary in some areas which had happened before, but I tell you what is necessary most importantly is to ensure that part of this flood is diverted from source. It's coming from Lokogoma and all the estates far away from here. There are occasions when there will be no rain in Trademore and we'll still have high volume of water. So really, this is not about Trademore. It's about the adjoining estates, the profile of the land around here. So it's incumbent on government and all the necessary agencies to look at the need to solve this problem, not inside Trademore, from outside of Trademore. And also what we find out is that, look at the volume of water going out of here. when it gets to under the road, you only have a ring under the express, so it converges there. And then because the pressure cannot go through, then it backfills back into Trademore. That's what is happening. This is not rocket science. We've had conversations with appropriate agencies last year when we lost somebody here. Today, our primary concern was life. Therefore, we made sure that no life was lost. And now we are talking about prevention. Preventative measures has to be taken. And most importantly, is diverting this flood from source. And that is what we're saying.
Okay, before I let you go, let's look at the rescue effort that was brought to bear, that today we're celebrating no life was lost. Can you also share with us, you were here all through, when we came you were so wetted, into the water, the efforts. Let's share more on the efforts, sir.
I must give it, first of all, we thank God for everything. I must give it to the residents, the Okada riders, the Aboki boys around. They all got together, everybody, that look, we would not allow anybody to die this year. Those who are stuck in their homes, we made sure we got them out. Risky venture. We called all the security, the agencies that are concerned, like the FEMA, NEMA, what's it called, the fire service. We called them, but before their arrival, we had done a lot of work. Now, there were a couple of people who were being taken away by the flood. Our boys went into that and made sure they did not get taken away. We give thanks to God. But when the agencies came, they joined hands with us and were able to make sure that no life was lost.
All right, I would have to let you go for now. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on this incident today. I will get to look more into this issue as time goes on.
Thank you.
All right, well, I also have a resident also who was also affected by this incident. Let's get to also hear his own perspective. Sir, in a nutshell, how would you describe how you were affected today?
I would say it's nothing like we've experienced before. Now it's become a trend here that last year is always better than the next year in terms of flooding. And it's basically the fact that the volume of water, because everything started right in my presence this morning. I witnessed everything. Within 10 minutes, I saw a volume coming into the estate from outside of the estate, and it's massive. It's massive. If government can come to our aid and divert, through relevant government agencies, and divert the volume of water coming into Trademore.
All right.
Trademore is like
all right. Well, I'll just have to cut you. I think thank you very much for your thoughts at this moment. Well, this is the much we'll be able to relay. I will be able getting you more information as far as this incident is concerned, as talk is ongoing to bring about lasting solution to this issue.
Thank you very much, Abdullahi, for the update and the explanation from residents there that have experienced the flood today as a result of a heavy downpour. We thank you very much for the update. Now, the Director General, National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, Mustafa Habib Ahmed, says measures must be put in place by relevant authorities in charge of waterways safety to forestall incessant occurrences of boat mishap that has continued to claim many lives and property. The DG NEMA stated this while presenting relief items to victims of boat mishap in Patigi local government area of Kwara State. Ilyasu Aliyakubu brings us an update.
June 2023 was indeed the darkest day in the lifetime of the people of Patagi local government area of Kwara State, following the boat mishap that claimed more than 100 lives, while 144 others rescued in the accident. Boat accident in the riverine communities of the country is becoming alarming, which the DG NEMA is emphatic on the need for relevant authorities to deploy all necessary measures that will minimize disaster.
Any passenger ferry, they should always ensure that there is a number of life vests to cover the number of people on that ferry.
He commiserated with the government and people of Kwara State over this tragic disaster. The NEMA boss handed over the relief items to the deputy governor of the state for onward delivery to the victims in the affected communities. Items delivered included bags of rice, beans, maize, condiment, mattresses, clothing materials. Ilyasu Ali Yakubu, NTA News.
Vice President Kashim Shettima was a special guest as University of Ibadan dissected and provided solutions to the social and economic challenges in Nigeria in the institution's 257th inaugural lecture. State House correspondent Musbah Wahab reports that the lecture was titled Living in the Eye of the Storm. What options for Nigeria?
A proud moment for Vice President Kashim Shettima and his alma mater. 32 years after he backed a master's degree in agricultural economics here, he was back for another lecture. And this would only require he makes a mental note for possible ideas that will assist his principal and him in charting a new course for the country. His then faculty, in an inaugural lecture delivered by one of his classmates, weighed up options for Nigeria in the eye of the storm. The effects of a metaphorical storm in the lecture were highlighted to include unemployment, inequality, low human capital development, gender issues, migration, and the resultant poverty.
Health, education, living standard, work, and shop are the critical components of multidimensional poverty in Nigeria.
Professor Yusuf suggested diversification, urban farming, community-driven development, and national poverty alleviation platforms as part of the way forward in the socio-economic realities in Nigeria.
The time is now for us to collectively fight the storm of poverty and vulnerability. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, if we fail to eradicate poverty, poverty will eradicate us. Because when the poor are hungry and angry, the rich will not be able to sleep well, if they sleep at all.
Standing ovation for the inaugural lecturer, lessons for the listeners, and a seeming nostalgic moment for Vice President Kashim Shettima as he joined in the school anthem. From Ibadan, Musbah and Wahab, NTA News.
Now, in support of ongoing efforts by the federal government to address socio-economic challenges confronting women and other vulnerable groups in the country, Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has put plans in motion to float a non-governmental organization, Renewed Hope Initiative. State House correspondent Adeni Taiwo reports that she disclosed this as the inaugural meeting with members of the governing board for the initiative.
Several promises made by President Bola Tinubu to Nigerians, his desire to lift many out of poverty and improve socio-economic fortune of the citizens stands out. The Renewed Hope Initiative, a brainchild of the First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, is aimed at fast-tracking the realization of this pledge by taking the intervention to beneficiaries across the length and breadth of the country. While addressing members of the governing board, led by the wife of the Vice President, Hajj Nana Kashim Shettima, in the State House, the First Lady said intervention in agriculture and other focal areas of the initiative are designed for the benefit of the less privileged in the society.
We are planning to target a lot of areas, which includes agriculture, includes education, includes economic empowerment, health, and also the social investment, which entails, vulnerable groups. We want to look at gender and domestic violence, the physically challenged, and some other areas, orphans, widows, the elderly, to mention a few.
To draw needed support in the areas of funding and mobilization, the initiative, she emphasized, must take proper shape.
We decided that we should have a national program this time. And a national program which is yet to be registered, which we are going to, once we have the approval of everyone, we're going to make plans on how to go about our registration. But we know that the peculiarity in our regions are different. Our needs, what is more pressing. So that is why we're going to have also zonal coordinators from each zone, and then we'll look at what is peculiar in your zone, and then we'll give it priority.
We want to rekindle their hope, and with the renewed hope initiative for women in Nigeria, and inshallah more goodies is coming, especially toward the agriculture that she has talked about, economic empowerment, the health of our children, and then with the education and other social intervention.
In agriculture, we're going to have trainings, we're going to have support group cooperative societies, and ways to give grants to the farmers, to give them tools, equipment, hear from them, know what we can do what the initiative can do to make life better and work easier for them.
The initiative is expected to take off with funds remaining from the 2023 presidential election campaign, while further funding is expected to come from local and international donor agencies, among others. In the State House, Adini Itaiwo, NTA News.
In less than 24 hours from now, the outbound movements of pilgrims from Nigeria to Saudi Arabia will be concluded. In a statement, the head public affairs National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, Fatima Sendo Usara, says the exercise took 27 days, involving 170 flights so far into Jeddah and Medina airports, conveying over 71,000 Nigerian pilgrims. Though the airlift was early scheduled to be concluded on the 22nd of June, that could not be achieved due to some technical issues encountered by one of the airlines. But 23rd and 24th of June still remain open for landing of Nigerian pilgrims into Saudi Arabia for the 2023 Hajj. The Commission calls on any eligible pilgrim with valid travel documents that has not been contacted for the journey to approach the nearest Pilgrims Welfare Agency for confirmation and subsequent dispatch to the Kingdom for the 2023 Hajj exercise. The statement adds that the Commission is grateful to its numerous stakeholders from within and abroad for their teamwork principles, through which unforeseen challenges were jointly addressed. Now, with just a few days to the closure of Saudi airport for pilgrims, we have Zikrullah Kulli Hassan, the chairman and CEO of the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, to shed more light on this year's Hajj, especially as airlift of Nigerian pilgrims is expected to end Saturday. Now, you're welcome to Nationwide.
Thank you. I thank you very much. And
all right. Now, 5 airlines were approved for government to airlift pilgrims this year to Saudi Arabia for the annual Hajj. How well have the airlines performed? Well,
I must say that the beautiful thing is that in the end we have cause to be happy and to thank Allah. Some perform very, very good. Some perform fairly well. Because there were some who didn't start early because they had issues with their documents with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, specifically with the airline authority there. Others started, then their aeroplane developed technical issues. But what we did was to redistribute. For those who were strong in airlifting, we gave them increased number, and for those who had challenges, we reduced their numbers. And we also developed a strategy that once there are pilgrims and there's an airplane, then go there and evacuate. So that is why in the end, we were able to beat the deadline of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And notably, this is the first time in about 10 years that Nigeria will be going with the full contingent of 95,000. By that I mean, in the last few years, Saudi Arabia will give us 95,000, but the number of subscribers haven't reached that level. But this 95,000, despite all the challenges, the last flight for the state pilgrim of 75,000 left about 15 minutes ago from Abuja here. Inshallah, by 10 p.m., I will be leading delegates of staff and officials and about 70 pilgrims who are the remnants. We brought 87 from Kaduna, 45 from Kebbi, 3 from Sokoto, and 1 from Zamfara. All we say is that everywhere there are pilgrims, we bring them together. And some missed their flight because maybe they were sick, another reason. Some because the plane had only left over about just 40, and the plane cannot come just to go and pick 40 people. So got arrangement to bring all to Abuja. I'm happy to inform Nigerians that as we speak, every pilgrims that are from the state are in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia or about to enter the kingdom. I must also add, however, that those few remains, which are less than 70 or thereabout, are following me and some of the officials and staff by 10 p.m. Friday today. But we have also made another arrangement. By 7 a.m. tomorrow, there's a flight from Abuja here, which is going to fly almost half empty, comprising essentially of staff of the Hajj Commission, some few stakeholders, as well as operational staff of the airline. I'm saying this to use as an opportunity that in the event that for reasons which we cannot explain, there is a Nigerian left over. If he's able to get to the airport no later than 5 a.m. tomorrow, and there's proof that he has visa and he has paid all the necessary fees, he has a chance to go to the kingdom. I must, however, also add that there were issues with the tour operators. Some of the tour operators had challenges this year, and we agreed to do charter aircraft. We mediated and facilitated them to go through Arik Air. Initially, there were issues, but as I speak with you, by 2 p.m. today, by 2 a.m. after midnight, the entirety of the pilgrims of tour operators from Lagos, Lagos, Kano, and Abuja off to be on their way to the kingdom. The last flight actually is meant to be 2 a.m. today from Lagos. Now, as I speak, in a few minutes, about 20 minutes, a flight will land in Lagos to take away 560, and it will come. Another flight will come again by 2 a.m. and that will be the last for today. Even Kano has only 65 pilgrims waiting. They are going to be picked. Tour operators now. They are going to be picked by 7 p.m. to come to Abuja to pick the balance of Abuja. So by 10 p.m., all tour operators on charter aircraft should leave Nigeria from the north. It is Lagos that will wait for 2 a.m. after midnight to lift.
All right. Now, these chartered flights that you've had to fall back on, will that lead to additional charges on the pilgrims, being that this year the amount paid was like very high?
Well, as you know, first I must say that, in my opinion, the charter flight were actually cheaper than the usual scheduled flight. The scheduled flight were high, but that was not why it was settled to by the tour operators. The fact is that the entirety of the scheduled flights from Nigeria to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia cannot take the 20,000 they have. So they have to use chartered aircraft for the SS. So that was the reason that led to it. But I don't think there was a price disadvantage in any way.
We thank you very much for sharing those insights, and we wish all Nigerians and pilgrims performing this year's Hajj a successful spiritual exercise. We're now going to join Adeola Kanme-Akere in Lagos for more stories on Nationwide. Over to you, Deola.
Thank you, Lami. The police in Lagos State is expanding the capacity of its Tactical Operations Unit to fight crime and criminality. The police spokesman, Benjamin Hundehi, gave this assurance to residents while parading suspects at the command headquarters in Lagos. Fighting crime is an important duty and task of every police officer. This is why the force is determined to stamp out crime to ensure a better society. Reeling out the achievements of the police in the state, the public relations officer Benjamin Hundehi said 32 suspects who engaged in various crimes in the state were arrested. He gave the breakdown in which 17 were notorious cultists in Ikorodu, Isolo, and Badagry, 11 traffic robbers, 2 who stole a Hilux from a car stand, while 2 others pretending to be men of the police force were found engaging in kidnapping and extortion.
Many of us would have come across a video circulating on social media, particularly on WhatsApp, where a lawyer is narrating how some policemen move around. I think I was talking about a black Highlander, and they will pick innocent Nigerians and drive them around town. We got wind of this and we moved into action, and we are proud to say that we've arrested 2 of them while 2 are on the run. Unfortunately, one of them is a police officer, but is a deserter.
The PPRO observed with dismay the spate of cultism in the state and that over 100 cultists are being prosecuted. While the police is not relenting in fighting crime in the state, it is calling on citizens to divulge important information which will assist in the discharge of its responsibilities. Saddled with the responsibility of accreditation, regulation and control of the practice of engineering in all ramifications in the country, Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, COREN, has now gained signatory status of an international accord, the Washington Accord, which will give global recognition to Nigerian engineers' degree and assessment in line with global trend. Current President Professor Zubair Abubakar made this known at the media briefing in Lagos. Larry Bileyi reports.
Our ecosystem
enlightening on the development, current President Professor Zubair Abubakar explained that the Council decided to adopt the Washington Accord standard for the evaluation of all engineering and technology-based programs in Nigerian universities to put the engineering profession on a global scale of recognition. Professor Abubakar revealed that to achieve this feat, objectives of the international accord were implemented in all nations' tertiary institutions.
Nigeria will have an ample opportunity to study and understand, what you call the reverse engineering, just like the Chinese did and other, what they call the Asian tigers did. To pick technologies and come and domesticate them and replicate them in Nigeria. This is another very easy and quick way of, industrializing and developing your own economy in terms of technology transfer and acquisition.
The 34-year-old Washington Accord under the International Engineering Alliance is a multilateral agreement between bodies responsible for accreditation of tertiary-level engineering qualifications. Signatory countries to the accord are committed to the development and recognition of good practice in engineering education. In Lagos, Larry Bileyi, NTA News.
And those are the stories from Lagos for now. We will take a break. Nationwide will continue with Lami in Abuja. But before then, do not forget that you can follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on the screen for update. To stay.
You for saying Nationwide joins Felicia in Jos for more reports. It's over to you, Felicia.
Four permanent secretaries and a special advisor on security. Four permanent secretaries and a special advisor on security. Four permanent secretaries on the
The addition of 4 new permanent secretaries, the governor says, is part of the new permanent of his administration to reposition the civil service towards acquiring the agenda of the administration of putting the state back on track of development. Gone are the days when people lobby to get appointments, as he will always go for merit and credibility for the overall good of the state. He thereafter urged the newly appointed to keep all sentiments aside and put Plateau first in the discharge of their duties, as the time to transform Plateau State is now.
It has become necessary for us to be able to reposition them so that they can function more effectively for the good of the service and for the betterment of the society.
The 4 permanent secretaries were given portfolio as follows: Helen Chindusi, Government House Administration; Roslyn Dakwar, Ministry of Finance; Joel Tavan, Ministry of Justice; Nenman Kwapwon, Office of the Head of Service, General Administration. Also sworn in was Special Advisor to the Governor on Security, Brigadier General Gagji Shipi. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Justice, Joel Tavan, who spoke on behalf of his colleagues, expressed gratitude to the Governor for considering them worthy in the task of rebuilding Plateau. In Jos, Grace Akweguti, NTA News.
And in other news, Senator Dicket Plank, representing Plateau Central in the National Assembly, is appealing to security agencies to redouble efforts in restoring normalcy in the senatorial district and entire state for meaningful development. The senator was reacting to the recent attacks which led to loss of lives and destruction of valuable property in the senatorial district. Salau Abrahaman Mohammed has the reports.
In a recent attack in Inaugural local government area by gunmen, lives were lost in addition to destruction of valuable property. Reacting to the incident, Senator Dicket Plank, representing the Central Senatorial District, described the attack as unfortunate, calling on the people to remain calm as efforts are being made to restore peace.
I think there must be every deliberate effort of all stakeholders, from a religious background, from ethnic background, from political background, whatever, we must come together, look at this problem and have a discussion. Even if we've offended one another, there must be room for forgiveness. We are all humans. We are all humans, and we are bound to make mistakes. But we must not allow mistakes made to be sustained. We must nip it from the bud.
Senator Plank appealed to stakeholders to redouble their efforts towards ensuring that the communities are secured. In Jos, Salau Abdulrahman Mohammed, NTA News.
We'll take another break. Nationwide continues in Abuja thereafter with Lami. You're welcome back. The enormous challenges faced by women who have lost their husbands necessitated the United Nations decision to mark out a day annually to identify with and create awareness to their plight with a view to improving their livelihoods. Mamso Damian Dati in this report takes us through this year's International Widows' Day.
The 23rd of June is a day chosen by the United Nations internationally as Day of Widows. It was launched in 2010 to raise awareness on the violations of the rights of these women who have lost their husbands, as well as ratify action against the injustices meted out on them.
Practices such as shaving of hairs, wearing of black or white clothes, sleeping and sitting on the bare floor or mat in the dark, being refrained from bathing for a number of days, seclusion, and being made to drink corpse bathing water. According to the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, any person who subjects a widow to harmful practices commits an offense and will be sent to prison for up to 2 years or pay a fine of up to 500,000 naira.
To this end, key players ensure this year's event leaves fond memories and the minds of the widows.
Addressing social stigmas that create exclusion and discriminatory or harmful practices, and training in vocational skills of their interests.
Enact a law that will protect all the widows,
all over Nigeria. Widows are suffering. If I open my mouth, you say, Mama, stop.
Being a widow is a very great challenge. It will seem to you as if the world has come to an end. Assist the widow whenever you come by one.
Momso Damien Ati, NTA News.
Now, to talk more on the International Widows Day, we have in the studio Evangelist Ignatius Newman. You're welcome to Nationwide.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Now, widowhood issues are of global concern. Yeah. Tell us the challenges widows face here in Nigeria.
Well, just like other parts of the world, but mainly in our sub-Sahara, especially here in Nigeria, you'll discover that most widows are being subject to so many inhuman attitudes and treatments. Like some areas, you'll discover that some, like we have heard, some will be subjected to drink the dead body of water washed from the dead body of their husband. Some will be meant even to sleep with the dead body of their husband till the next day. Some are meant to shave their hair. And there are so many of those kind of maltreatment to the widows. And like we always advise and advocate that these things shouldn't be so. That a woman's husband died is not the end of the woman's life. We shouldn't make the woman, or the society shouldn't make the woman feel so bad that the worst has happened to her. But the only thing I always encourage people and say to, especially for women, is that they should be very careful, because the people that carries out these rules in the rural areas or in most areas are women. Women are the ones who are subjected their fellow women to this kind of ill treatment. Like some areas we call the people they call Umadar of 18. They will be saying, they did it to us, we must do it to you. And these are the challenges that with society we face. When we talk about even trying to remove the load from these women, it's still the same fellow women that will be enforcing the ill treatment to them.
We have laws in place to prevent such harmful practices. Do you think the penalties are stringent enough?
Well, that issue, the one we have is already the beginning, or kind of, so it's the stepping step. But it is not even the main, because if you get into the field and see what these women are suffering, the government need to enhance a law that we need to deal with them more. 500,000, they can afford 500,000 to pay and then get themselves free. 2 years worth for what? I have been in a situation where I met a woman. The man, the brother to the late husband, sold the house, and this woman was given a place that is not up to a toilet. She squeezed herself around and put the children in between. When the late husband had a 3-bedroom apartment, before she could come back, the brother to the husband have sold the house and then collected the money and left Abuja to Gombe, and then left this woman only to be splitting in a place where it's not up to a toilet. And then we have to follow it up to make sure we collected the building from the person they sold it to, and then they should call his brother, the brother to the wife. If you see the ill treatment and the kind of punishment they made the woman to suffer through, if not that people come to fight, the woman would have remained there, possibly die in that situation. The law is not enough. They need to see the capital punishment that will come upon them, that they will be adherent from doing such a thing to these women.
We talk about the issue of empowerment, welfare, medical care for the widows and the children left behind by the breadwinner. Now, NGOs and many government agencies are into provision of such. Are these efforts enough?
To me, it's not yet enough. It's not enough because of what we see in the field of play. Why I say so is that the government need to give NGOs maybe enabling ground. We may not even talk about the finance, we talk about giving them enabling ground. How do I see so? Most of them that need to go through skill acquisition, and after going through those things, you discover that one thing with women is that a woman, if you give her money, the first thing that goes into her mind is my children. And if that money goes into her hand, the next thing is the feeding, which is not the main thing. We need to teach them even how to catch the fish, not even giving them the fish all the time, as the saying may be. Now, creating the enable environment for this skill acquisition, the Ministry of Women Affairs need to come in. At least they are trying, but they need to do more, in the sense that they need to expand their coast. If you get to sub-areas or satellite towns, you discover there are increase of the numbers of widows are increasing every day. And the little they are doing, Well, it's still little, but it's not enough. They need to create enabling program that will enable NGOs to reach out to these women more, and in order to help them to survive the situations.
Thank you most sincerely, Evangelist Ignatius Newman, for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you.
Now, Secretary to the Governments of the Federation, George Akume, has charged the Federal Road Safety Corps to sustain its transformational approach to road safety management and also maintain its leadership role, particularly in the West Africa sub-region. This was as the inauguration of the Corps' 130 operational patrol vehicles to be distributed across the country. Uyeyemi Ajayi has the details.
Over time, inadequate patrol, rescue and recovery logistics have hindered the ability of the Federal Road Safety Corps to perform optimally its responsibilities in road safety management. This, however, explains the importance of these operational vehicles being inaugurated, which is believed will now boost the output of the Corps, especially their visibility on highways, and achieve its 2023 target of 5% road traffic fatalities reduction.
I call on all stakeholders in government and non-governmental organizations to continue supporting the Corps for the attainment of the desired goals and maximum benefit to all Nigerians in our fight against road traffic crashes and fatalities on our roads.
The persistence of the Corps in promoting compliance with traffic rules, driver education, and prompt emergency response will play pivotal role in reducing road accidents and saving countless lives.
For the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, who is also a Special Marshal of the Corps, to whom more is given, more is expected. He says the Corps must deliver on its mandate, especially in prompt response, recovery and speedy removal of obstructions on the roads.
While government's efforts remain consistent, it is only proper for its agencies to certain regulatory aspects of the infrastructure to live up to expectation, and it is in this respect that the FRSC comes in for road traffic regulation.
The operational vehicles inaugurated include 97 patrol vehicles, 10 heavy-duty tow trucks, 15 flatbed tow trucks, 5 ambulances, 1 56-seat staff bus, and 2 coaster buses. Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
A joint security team comprising the Department of State Services, the Nigerian Army and the police have carried out operations in Nasarawa and Kogi states and apprehended Abubakar Muhammad, aka Abu Duriba, a suspected gun runner. A statement by the spokesperson for the service, Dr. Peter Afunanya, says during the operation, the team discovered ammunition, improvised explosives and a vehicle. Similarly, in another joint operation, the team raided the hideout of Kabir Bala, aka Oku, a suspected jailbreaker and notorious gang leader in Kogi State. Oku and his gang members allegedly engaged the troops in a gun duel during which he was neutralized. Others, however, fled the area. 1 AK-47 rifle with 3 fully loaded magazines, 6 locally fabricated weapons, 2 phones and charms were said to have been recovered from the suspects. Meanwhile, the DSS calls for vigilance during Eid al-Kabir celebrations and warns of an impending attack at worship places and recreational centers before and during the festivities. DSS advises operators of public places to be watchful and report any suspicious movements to relevant agencies. Now, just when many feel the ambience of APC victory in the last presidential poll is over, a frontline group tagged the APC National Integrity Movement resonated the spirit with recognition of esteemed personalities who made the project a reality. Abubakar Akwanga reports.
May God lead you. May God use you to make Nigeria great.
The political race for the top seat in Nigeria is now over, and for the APC National Integrity Movement, it is time to celebrate the crown on the head of a man who it fits the Jagaban. But behind the new leadership in the country are the foot soldiers who made several sacrifices to make the future happen for prosperity and national development. And in their numbers, one after the other, they queued to be awarded with the uncommon plaque for service to the party and for the groundbreaking victory.
I want to encourage all youths and all our members and all Nigerians and APC servers in particular to please give him all the support to achieve all the laudable goals he has been putting to himself.
Their dedication, passion and commitment to our party has been nothing short of extraordinary, and they truly deserve all the recognitions, honor that we are giving them today.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu recognizes the urgent need to embrace inclusivity and ensure that every citizen has a voice in the political process.
Nigeria today consists of a booming population of young men and women. This is a plus for the country.
For the awardees, the honor was a fulfillment of a lifetime that does not require a speech, but increased loyalty for the party ahead of more victories. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
Now, President Bola Tinubu assured Nigerians of inclusive leadership in his administration, and South Africa is making a case for the inclusion of persons with disabilities as the president considers appointments into his cabinet. This case for inclusivity is contained in an open letter to Mr. President. Gufanshaji Ugwanyi reports.
This meeting by TAF Africa and concerned organizations of persons with disabilities is to advocate for the rights and recognition of persons with disabilities in Nigeria. The agenda is to urge President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to prioritize the inclusion of persons with disabilities in appointments into his cabinet in line with his promise to carry all citizens along.
Experiences and insight of persons with disability can greatly contribute to development and implementation of policies that address specific needs and challenges faced by the community.
This act of leadership would inspire other sectors of the society to follow suit.
By doing so, you will be championing the cause of disability inclusion and demonstrating your commitment to the principles of equality and social justice.
These advocates also believe that by including persons with disabilities in his cabinet, President Tinubu would demonstrate the nation's dedication to fulfilling its international obligations. In Abuja, Gufanshaji Ugwanyi, NTA News.
And that's a wrap on Nationwide. We thank you for watching. I'm Lami Ali. Have a good evening.